Oh my god, she's a weirdo.
"'Tis I, fat cow. It's been a while." Yeah, I know. But when I'm feeling a bit shit and I'm feeling a bit sorry for myself, I tend to take things to the extreme and, kind of, oh, new look, new me kind of thing. And while it hasn't exactly gone to plan, I do realise it may be a touch harsh. I'm going to run with it for a while and see if I can, adjust. Anyway, my hair can't take another bleaching, so I'm kind of stuck with this for a bit. Regardless, that's not exactly why I'm here. So, in my absence, a lot of material had been produced by Foodie Beauty. Granted, not a lot of material that can be actually legitimately content worthy and something you can actually comment on, but needless to say, I've managed to put together a montage of things taken from the Looney Tubes, Foodie Beauty, and Piggy, things that I wanted to comment on. And it's about 50 minutes worth of material. I've been thinking about this for a while. The whole issue about Foodie's apparent depression and her mental health. And while I've said that she's heading for a legitimate full-blown mental breakdown, I'm suspecting, as many people do, that while she is depressed, she's not as depressed as she's trying to portray herself. So in this video, amongst other things, I'm going to try and address that. Anyway, apologies if I sound a bit bleh, but I'm legitimately bleh and not self-induced bleh. I'd like to say there is a difference. I am not deliberately making myself feel like shit. I just do currently. Anyway, that's a complete load of tosh. I'm just waffling on. So let's get to it, shall we?
I hate my life. I'm just having a hard time. I go through moments where I'm like, oh, okay, this is my new reality. And then other times I'm like, yeah, I'm just really comfortably numb.
Now, there's been a lot of talk on Twitter about how numb Foodie is making herself. And a lot of people have argued that in their experience, they've never been able to recreate this level of numbness with TBH or TBC. See, I don't even know what it's called. Cannabis products by themselves. So they think she's on some sort of downers. And there's another fraction of Twitter that are saying she wouldn't have access to downers in Canada because they're prescription drugs. Now, I believe she is combining cannabis products, which are legal in Canada, and downers, which are prescription only in Canada, because if you think back a little while, prior to her leaving Syria, she began stocking up on medicine. Her brain pills, for example, her diabetic pills. And it was obvious at some point in Syria she was taking something that had a very numbing effect. And I believe she brought that, or got Salah to buy that, and brought it over in bulk additionally. Now, she said additionally she was going to bring about 3 months worth of her medical supplies over to Canada from Syria because she wouldn't have health care for that time. But then she was trying to find out how much she could bring legally. And I believe she brought as much as she could get Salah to buy, bugger the legalities, and just failed to declare it at customs. So I do believe she is combining drugs, and I do believe that regardless of the fact that she shouldn't be combining drugs, she has been taking these with Salah's cooperation because he's the one that had to buy them. Now, I believe Salah gave them to her in Syria to temper down her temper. And I believe he wasn't adverse to getting them for her for when she went to Canada, because again, he wants to delay the inevitable, which is the inevitable rage that Foodie will do when she realises Salah has turned his back on her. So he's neutered her. The woman who didn't want muting and so forth left Syria is being muted by medicine she brought in Syria, which I think is quite ironic. Now, I'm looking at my phone because I just want to get the medical facts of what happens to an individual when they combine cannabis with downers. Obviously, there is an increased sedation, but I think that's the point. Foodie has obliterated or is attempting to annihilate her ability to think and to react to anything. She is delaying the inevitable, obviously. And she knows that if she rages, legitimately rages, then her and Salah are definitely over. I'd argue they're definitely over anyway. But Foodie's a clinger. She doesn't give up on somebody easily, and not in the good way. She's done with them when she says she's done with them, regardless of what they do to her. Anyway, increased sedation, which leads to excessive drowsiness and a loss of alertness. And while Foodie isn't exactly known for being alert, normally this level of induced numbness is very obvious. There is a risk of an overdose. I don't think Foodie's taking the downers as would be prescribed, had she been prescribed them either. I think she's taken at least double the amount of the drugs. She's also going to develop a dependency and a tolerance to these downers that she got from Syria, which is something that will kick her in the teeth later, because she will run out and she has no source to get more. So it's very abruptly going to come to an end, the addition of downers. And so the withdrawals are going to be horrific. So the cannabis consumption will increase. And that's just, well, it's not a very pleasant set of circumstances she's heading towards.
I'm extremely upset. I can't talk about it without crying, and I don't want to cry, so I'm trying to be numb. I don't think I was ready to end my marriage. I think it's too late now.
Foodie left Syria because she hated it. But she legitimately didn't think that Salah would be happy with that. She said right at the beginning that he wasn't devastated by the news that she was leaving. And that was a very, very clear indication that he was actually happy. I would argue the very clear indication that Salah had opted out of the marriage was when he told her not to come to Syria in the first place. But Foodie doesn't listen. She's never listened. Foodie does what Foodie wants because Foodie gets what Foodie wants. This time she didn't get what she wanted. She thought Salah would fight for her. This was Foodie's attempt at forcing Salah's hand, at changing to fit her requirements as opposed to her fitting Salah's requirements in Syria. She left 100% believing that Salah would follow her to Canada eventually. And, well, surprise! You were wrong.
I know it's like over because he's just not like the same. Blames everything like on me, how I should be changing.
One could argue that while you shouldn't be expected to change for anybody, you should be expected to adapt to a certain degree should you find yourself in a completely different culture that goes by completely different rules. So Salah didn't need to change. Actually, Salah did change. When he went to Syria, he became more traditional. So he did change to fit in with the culture and environment he was in. You barely, if at all, tried.
But anyway, we did speak a lot at first, and now it's like less. Sometimes hours and hours in between.
In a normal, functioning, genuine relationship, if one of you is travelling and is abroad, at most I would expect is a good morning in the morning and a good night at night, and that's it, because a person's busy. If they keep you updated throughout their day, that's fine. That's nice. That's a bonus. Just let me know you're awake and okay, and let me know that you're back at your hotel or whatever and safe. And that's enough. You don't need, or you shouldn't require, constant surveillance. And that's the issue. When Salah isn't in constant contact with Foodie doesn't know what Salah's doing, or more importantly, who Salah is doing.
His family can be priority, but why also can his wife be?
You left announcing you were separating and then getting divorced. You didn't believe it because you thought he'd fight for you. But that didn't mean he didn't believe it either. He presented, according to you, the divorce papers, which, as I state again, cannot be filed in Syria because your civil unreligious marriage, if you had one, wouldn't be legally recognised in Syria. He can't divorce you, Foodie, if you were legally married in a civil marriage in Kuwait, as you as a Christian and Salah as a Muslim. Your marriage didn't exist legally in Syria. But at the end of the day, even if he is still married to you, he doesn't consider himself married to you. You're in a different country, which, by the way, your Turkish lover, who had a wife and children, lived in a different country, and it was okay for him, to fool around with you because his wife was thousands of miles away. So even if Salah is still legally married to you, by your logic, he's thousands of miles away from you, so it doesn't matter. And anyway, you also said in his culture he's allowed multiple wives. That's the Turkish guy. Well, the same applies to Salah. So that guy you slept with, the married guy with kids, it was fine. But it's not fine for Salah to do it because you're the wife. Hypocrite much?
We talked like once today, teardrop, and he never ever usually just like ignores my messages.
He's probably getting messages every 15 minutes. You could probably go an hour between messages if he replied to the message. But I would say if Salah posted a picture of the missed calls and the messages on his phone right now, there would be minutes between them. He's not obligated to answer you back regardless of the information you give him. So if you're telling him you feel like shit, he's not obligated to make you feel better. You're emotionally manipulating him by saying, I feel bad, please answer. He doesn't have feelings for you. He's not prepared to babysit you any longer. He's wiped his hands of you, foodie. He's decided that this investment he's made in you for the last 3 years to get to Canada is legitimately not worth it. You, foodie, have been rejected by a romance scammer. You, as an individual with your personality and your characteristics, has been deemed too difficult and too unbearable to continue a con with, which is a very, very big, enormous indicator of who you are as a person. Even Michael stuck with Angela, and she was foul. Just go on 90 Day Fiancé on the ones that are obviously up to something and scamming and see the shit they put up with, but they stick with it because they want to immigrate. You are so obnoxious to be around, physically and personally, that even a romance scammer who's already put in 3 years of work isn't prepared to continue with you.
And like sometimes I'll message him and be like, I'm struggling. I feel like he doesn't care anymore.
He doesn't care anymore because you're no longer an investment to him. All the money in the world that you can provide currently in your situation is not enough for him to give you the attention you want. You would have to get back up to your $20,000 a month levels, and then maybe he'd reconsider. But that's a maybe now.
I mean, like, why would he be cruel? Like,
that's not cruel. You throw the word cruel round a lot, that his behaviour is cruel. No, his behaviour is that of somebody who isn't interested.
Did you actually ever care about me if, like, I message you and tell you over and over that I'm struggling and you don't even care enough to answer that?
He doesn't care enough to answer that. And again, exactly the same word you said when Nader was out with his friend he hadn't seen for a long time because he had come over to visit from Germany or something and hadn't answered your messages for one night after you and him only being together for 3 weeks. That the fact he wasn't messaging you back and keeping in contact meant he wasn't thinking about you. And this is the bottom line. Salah's not thinking about you. Not fondly, for sure. You're not important to him anymore. And the only reason you was important at one point was because of your Canadian citizenship.
I never thought that, we would be ended. This is my future.
I never thought before that we would be ended, because you just assumed you were the light of Salah's life, that you were the bee's knees, you were the ultimate achievement relationship-wise for Salah. Which says a lot about how you see yourself, actually, because you see yourself as being nigh on fucking perfect as a girlfriend or a wife. And if you get deep into why you think you're nigh on fucking perfect, it's because you pay for everything. Because that's all it takes to be a good girlfriend or a good wife. It's to pay for everything. It's to elevate your partner's standard of living somewhat. That's all you need to do in exchange for complete and total submission. Doesn't seem like a fair trade. It's very transactional. You could probably pay a man to be completely submissive to you, and it would be a more honest relationship. Yeah.
A drive would help, but should I get cereal? I don't eat in the morning. Oh, here's the comment.
You don't eat in the morning because you don't get up in the morning. Breakfast, not that anybody's interested, it's called breakfast because it's when you break your fast. Your fast being not eating overnight. So the first thing you eat in the morning or the afternoon or at night is breakfast because you've broken the fast of not eating while asleep. Everybody has breakfast. Everybody.
Saying that, I do need deodorant, but again, I don't care if I stink.
Now here's the thing about whether or not I think Foodie's depression is legitimate. She is legitimately depressed, but she always has been. Either with medication or not. And that's because she's never addressed the reasons as to why she has mental health issues. She doesn't take therapy seriously. Therapy isn't, I have one session and I'm done. It can be for a lifetime. So Foodie is a depressed person anyway. She's also feeling abandoned and alone, which is going to, exaggerate the feelings. But the constant narrative that she's giving us, that the oh, I don't feel like doing that because of this. I don't feel like doing that because of this. I don't feel like doing that because of this. Everything she doesn't feel like doing, everything she says has no point, are things she didn't want to do anyway. She's not known for being hygienic. She's not known for cleaning her teeth or washing her hair. She's not known for making an effort with her decor. She's not known for making an effort with her appearance. So nothing has changed in terms of her behaviour. She's just announcing quite frequently she doesn't feel like doing these things and that these things have no point. But these things never interested her in the first place. She's selling a narrative that she feels worse than she normally does by creating a narrative around her desire to be lazy instead of just doing what she normally does, which is nothing.
What do I give a shit? I just feel like, what's the point? There's nobody at my house. Who cares?
You never did. Anyway, you're not known for your show homes. Let's call it that. You're not known for making an effort in anything. So this lack of announced desire to not do things isn't any different from you normally. You're just pushing the narrative down other people's throats for sympathy. Now, whether the sympathy is from your Beezers or from Salah remains to be seen. I think currently you want sympathy from wherever you can get it because you're that pathetic. But at the end of the day, you are legitimately milking your depression. You have weaponized your mental health to get the attention and the sympathy that you want. And that's extremely manipulative.
I have no one to make happy. Ouch. I'm gonna have to move my ass every day if I don't want to be super depressed. Uh-oh, my battery's dead. I'm just sad. It's because being at the mall reminds me of being in Kuwait at the mall.
Being at the mall reminds me of being at the mall in Kuwait, where she always walks around alone. Tahini sauce. You can't think about tahini sauce without feeling heartbroken. How many rom-coms have you watched, Foodie? Not even rom-coms, the teenage films. They have a name, the genre for the teen flicks. How many teen flicks have you been watching, Foodie? I think it's Beetlejuice, the original, where Riona Ryder was writing, I am so alone. And then crossed it out and goes, I am so utterly alone. This is the energy she's giving. She's so woe as me. But, it's such a juvenile response. She's just showing her lack of emotional maturity. The next thing I expect is she'll be eating some, in England we call them Wotsits. I don't know what they're called in the States, but they're the little Cheetos. The little tiny little orange things. And you expect her to be eating those and then pause, look out of the window, come back, look at the tiny little orange Cheeto, give a big sigh, and then say, everything reminds me of him. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. We've got this kind of energy. if she could film herself like Joey and Friends, sitting behind a pane of glass with the rain coming down and the sad song, the all by myself. That's really bad, but I can sort of sing, but not currently. And, you know, looking forlorn. She'd do that. She'd do that. She wants the moment. She wants the drama. She wants the acknowledgement. She isn't facing reality. She isn't being an adult. She's at best 12 in terms of emotional maturity. I'm so utterly alone.
I just want to be the center of someone's world.
While that sounds initially like a very grand statement, it is actually incredibly selfish and narcissistic. I just want to be the centre of somebody's world. But what about them? What do they want? Are their needs in any way, shape or form important to you? What about the other person, a human being with feelings? You don't give a shit about the other person. You only care about what the other person does for you and how they make you feel.
Oh, how I wanted to come back. To what? At least this family there cared about me.
Did they? Did they care about you? Or were they just being polite? Because there's a lot of being polite going on, I think. You know, not making things worse, just, you know, waiting until Salah gets over it. He's probably was in the background saying, look, she's going to leave eventually. She hates it here. Just be patient. A lot of not poking the bear, I think.
A better life doing what?
Doing exactly what you always do when given the opportunity to eat fast food and take drugs. Except alone. You traded what you thought was company for fast food and drugs, and then found the fast food and drugs only made you feel euphoric for a couple of days. And then you realised there's no one to share this with. Or more likely, you realised I can't indulge in this fast food and drugs lifestyle and still have to do all the normal adult shit people have to do, because there's no one to go to the grocers for you. There's no one to bring you water when you're thirsty. There's no one to fluff your pillows. There's no one to scrub your back. Hire some home care. Hire a maid. It'd be exactly the same. It literally would be exactly the same. Hire somebody to wait on you while you obliterate your brain cells, because that's all you actually want. And you could argue that Salah was hired help because he did everything for you. You gave him money. How's that any different?
How is this better? I don't even feel like I'm in the same life. Like 3 years I've been living a life that I just wanted to get out of, you know.
3 years I've been living a life I just wanted to get out of. So basically what you're saying, Foodie, is you've confirmed our suspicions and that you hated it from the start. The very start.
So I've been working hard to do that.
You have not been working hard to do that. You asked for money, you were given money, you did a few things online. That's not working hard. Not working hard at all. Not by most people's standards. It's probably hard for you because you like people doing everything for you. So even the minimum amount of effort is an effort for you.
Sabotage relationship.
You didn't sabotage the relationship because you were just being yourself. And that wasn't a deliberate attempt to sabotage a relationship. You're saying you sabotaged a relationship because you didn't change to Salah's requirements, but you never was going to. If you think you legitimately sabotaged your relationship, the only way you did that was insisting that Salah changed. And that's just you being you. There was no sabotage. The relationship was doomed to fail purely based on the fact that the reason Salah was in the relationship with you was because of Canada. And as we've been saying all along, you cannot give Salah Canada. So there was always an expiry date on this relationship. Always.
Just not live my life fully.
Is that you sort of implying that you didn't try hard enough? Because, yeah, you didn't try. You didn't have to try. I mean, you do you, girl. But, yeah.
So then I do everything to get here, and now I'm just like, is this just because I'm like, it's just because it's, and now I just like, all the time, it's like fight or flight. Like, what am I doing here? This is so fucking weird. Like, I wanted to be alone, but do I really?
Yes. You want to be alone so that you're not accountable to anyone. You can do what you want without criticism. You can be who you want, but you want a servant as well. So you don't want a relationship, you don't want a romantic relationship, you don't want an intimate relationship. You want staff.
And like, I miss Sasa. I didn't think I would miss them. Of course. So it's just hard. And it's like, it's obviously I'm here, you know, so. I'm stupid. I'm the one who wanted to move. I'm the one who was said I was unhappy. I'm the one who said I wanted to be alone.
But you didn't actually mean it, did you? So you're not stupid for saying those things. You're stupid, Foodie, for pretending you actually meant it. But all of this conversation's academic because at the end of the day, Salah wanted you gone. He really wanted you gone. In fact, in Syria, he didn't want you there in the first place.
And now that I'm all those things, I don't feel like I want them. And now I'm stuck. I feel like I'm stuck in a corner and I can't breathe.
Now, rumour has it, I haven't seen this for myself, that Pete says he's going to move in with Foodie in the beginning of the year. So we've got half of November and all of December to go. Foodie is going to be significantly different when she has her pet servant. However, I'm not entirely sure she can last the remaining 7 weeks without having some sort of major health, be it mental or physical, crisis. If she can poddle along for the remaining 7 weeks of the year and get to the point where Pete does move in, she's going to be absolutely fucking fine, like the cockroach she is.
I still love him, yes.
You never actually loved him in the way that the majority of people see love. You are not capable of feeling love in the same way as others do. I'm not either, to be honest. I'm neurodivergent, and there's just some aspects of love that don't come naturally to me. It's very difficult to explain, and maybe one day I'll explain it. I'm not saying you're neurodivergent. I am saying you have enough personality disorders in combination that means that your synapses may not be working quite in a way that they should be. However, in my opinion, your love is very conditional. It's very transactional. You love someone only if you get something from them. Your love for them is entirely dependent on their usefulness. Salah is currently not being particularly useful, but you haven't quite realised that yet. Now, I could argue that Salah hasn't completely cut you off and blocked you, which would have been the smart thing to do, because you could cause some serious shit when you eventually lose it and just say everything that Salah ever did, ever. Exaggerated to the nth degree, by the way. We will get the he was abusive storyline at some point, but that's a different discussion. You don't love him. You don't know how to love.
You know, you don't know who loves what. Like, you don't know who he loves, DLB. I'm not saying he does it, like he does or doesn't, but you don't have the right to say that either. You don't know anything.
I think he kind of liked you a bit as a friend. You did make each other laugh, but you also annoyed the ever-loving shit out of him. And spending time with you is probably very, very difficult.
I seem to only love him when I'm away from him. No, that's not true. You just realize it more. Like, you're just like,
Now, a lot of people who are concerned with Foodie are seeing these vacant stares as being a sign of how deep the depression is, when in reality the vacant stares are basically a glitch in Foodie's internal matrix, where the cannabis and the downers have basically caused her to buffer.
Do you guys like this? Just talking.
So the irony is it's 75% nothing at all, 25% sort of talking. And no, nobody likes this. I doubt even you like this. You're online because you're lonely and you're not doing anything to try and remedy that fact. You're not keeping yourself busy, are you? You're anaesthetising yourself and then thinking about shit. Anaesthetise myself thinking about shit. When you could arguably be doing anything else to try and, not think about things. Now, you're never going to get a hobby. You're never going to sit down and start reading. You're never going to do any of those things because you literally don't know how to entertain yourself. You could argue going out would help, but you're lazy. So the only thing that's really left is watching films. I mean, social media is not going to be helping. YouTube won't be helping. Passively watching films? Maybe? How about playing with your fucking cat? What about that?
I've waited like a million hours. It feels like I'm just trying to start my life and I can't stop crying.
That's a very teenage way to talk about the stuff. The over-exaggeration. Waited a million hours and I just can't stop crying. Sorry. I've held a breeze. You're not adulting. At all. Not even close. This isn't even the language adults use when talking about things.
It's too early for this shit.
While she is legitimately crying, there is a sense of performativeness about it as well. She came on knowing she's upset, but now she's I'm trying to think of the word. She's taken the fact she's upset, she's using it to an advantage and acting up. She's over-dramatising it for effect. And I think this is for Salah.
Nothing's wrong, just another day of realizing I'm just completely and utterly alone.
I am utterly alone. Alright, Riona? You know who.
I can't sleep, I can hardly eat.
The can't hardly eat bit is quite interesting because she got Burger King, she got onion rings, she got nashi, she got a large Coke Zero, presumably. She had an entire tub of ranch that she'd brought herself, and she had a Junior Whopper. And then when she'd eaten the entire nashi, the Junior Whopper, some of the onion rings with the ranch, said, I can't eat anymore. That's your idea of not being able to eat? That entire thing you ate in one go isn't even, well, I probably eat the equivalent of that much food in 2 days, and definitely not as unhealthy either, because I'm still on a low fat thing. Although I'm without gallbladder, my stomach is now adjusting to the lack of gallbladder, and I'm scared to eat things with fat in it currently. I am eating more than I was before having the gallbladder removed because of that bloody liver shrinkage diet, and nobody complimented me on my smaller liver. In fact, I heard nothing at all about what happened and what state my gallbladder was in, or how beautiful my liver must have been. So I don't even know if the 2 weeks was worth it. But now I'm, following still the low fat thing, the lower carb thing, the no sugar thing, just eating a lot more than I was. But that meal that you just had, that you didn't finish the onion rings, and therefore is indication of how bad you're doing, because you didn't finish it completely, only 95% of it. Yeah, I probably don't eat that much fat in a week, and I don't eat that many calories in 2 days, and that was one meal, foodie. So your loss of appetite, while smaller than normal for you, isn't close to normal eating for others.
I don't know if I've actually ever felt this bad in my entire life.
This is you fucked about and now you're finding out, dear. Some would call it karma, but no, I would say it's a good example of be careful what you wish for. There's a school of thought that there are two types of people: those who want immediate gratification and those who are prepared to defer their gratification. In fact, there was a study, which we've seen on lots of social media because it's kind of cute, where 5-year-olds are put in a room and they'll have some sweets or a marshmallow in front of them. And the supervisor will leave the room but will say, if when I come back that marshmallow is still there, you can have a second marshmallow. So if you can wait 5 minutes, you'll have twice as much sweets or marshmallows than you have now. And bless them, the children try not to eat the sweets. They know something better would happen if they just resist. But these 5-year-olds, not one can wait the 5 minutes to get double the reward. They want that marshmallow, they want them sweets, and they want them now. And while that's cute in a 5-year-old, it's not cute in a 41-year-old. Foodie wanted freedom from being muted in Syria, but then came to Canada and is muting herself narcotically. What Foodie really wants is everything without consequences, and that's not realistic.
I don't think I've actually felt known what I thought to really be alone feels like, and it's fucking awful.
It's been 3 weeks. So I would argue you have no idea what being truly alone actually is, because this is not truly alone. You're talking to people online. You're leaving your home sometimes. It's been 3 weeks. You've seen Pete's, you've seen your family. You talk again online multiple times a day. Trust me, foodie, this is not totally alone. If this level of loneliness you can't handle, you're going to be in for a very, very, very unpleasant surprise as time goes on, because you're going to be losing your online support as well. And the people who will be left are the most toxic of your supporters. So there's that to look forward to.
And go where? I don't enjoy doing anything. Going to sit at a cafe by myself?
Yeah, but every time you went to a cafe in Kuwait, you were by yourself. What's the actual fucking difference? There isn't any.
I don't give a shit about anything. Hi. I don't deserve her either.
No, you don't deserve her. You absolutely don't deserve her. That precious little baby is desperate for you to play with her. Desperate. But you only think about yourself and getting sympathy. You are incapable of thinking about anybody or anything else beyond your immediate needs. You do not deserve that cat. You don't deserve any cats. I'd argue you don't deserve your channel either.
Even she's alone. I can't stand the quiet. Like, I can't sleep. I feel like I wake up in a panic. Like, I'm suffocating.
Performative much? Performative much? If you don't like the quiet, make noise. It sounds stupid. It sounds simple. But make noise. You were alone 95% of the time that you were in Syria, and you were alone 90% of the time that you were in Kuwait. Really, your life hasn't actually changed that much. When I lived in the Middle East, I had a job. Eventually I got married, I had kids. But people ask me, oh, it must have been so exciting, what's different? And I'm like, I got up in the morning, I went to work, I got stuck in traffic going to work, I worked, I got stuck in traffic coming back from work, I made food, I went to bed. It actually is surprisingly the same. Seriously. It's as exciting as having a job and commuting is in the West. It's not spicy because it's in a different culture. It's just a normal life. Hotter, like a lot hotter.
I'm just feeling sorry for myself, I guess. he'll answer me like admittedly, and I know he doesn't owe me anything. We're not technically married.
If somebody messaged me 10 times in a row before I got round to messaging them back, I'm not going to message for each individual time. I'm not going to message back 10 times in reply. I'll message once in response to all of the messages. And the fact he's still replying to you, Foodie, means that this dramatic performance of yours is mute. If it blocks you completely, maybe you'd have a point of what you were saying. He's just not giving you the amount of attention you want, and you're throwing a fit.
But the thing is like, so then how do you go from being, were you a fucking liar then? Like, how do you go from being super lovey-dovey, I love you, you're my soulmate, this and that bullshit, to me, like, seeing me like this, and you don't even care?
He didn't care when you were there, but he had no choice but to respond to you because you were living under the same roof. Now, for a good part of my marriage, I no longer loved my husband. I was scared of him. But I still pretended I loved him. I still pacified him by being, to the best of my ability at the time, the kind of wife he wanted, because if I'd told him I no longer loved him, if I'd acted in a way that indicated I no longer loved him, he would have made my life hell. It already was hell, but it was only hell, only, emotionally and psychologically, with the occasional physically. There would have been a lot more physical altercations, let's say, had I actually let him know how I actually felt. So I was protecting the peace, which I suspect was the reason Salah was still being nice with you when you were there, because had he actually acted in a way that demonstrated his legitimate feelings, you would have gone nuclear and made his life more hellish than it already was.
Like, I guess not. I don't know. He probably thinks this is all drama, like me being upset. Like, I think it's pretty normal. And like, I hate more than anything that I'm like hurt. Or maybe he was just smart about it.
Yeah, he was just smart about it. He was giving you the impression that he was into you because he knows what the result is if he didn't. And yeah, that's dishonest, but you're protecting yourself by doing this. It's a survival mode. You're trying to survive a very unhealthy relationship until you can get out of the relationship. I didn't want to have sex with my husband, but if I didn't, well then there'd be repercussions. You do what you have to do to survive the situation you're in, whether it's dishonest or not.
Like, you know, or maybe his dad was smart. Like, he knows he's going to be going through depression where he's like ultra vulnerable. Because the night before his dad flew in, I flew out. He was home alone that night. He messaged me, "It feels like there's no light in the house without you. It's awful. I'm so lonely." The next day, his dad comes in and that's where our conversation goes downhill.
So you're now blaming his dad for Salah not being in contact with you. Well, one, the message he sent you the night you left sounds like something that was copy-pasted off the internet. And it's probably wise of him to have made that kind of gesture, because he didn't know for sure he'd arrived in Canada and settled. He could quite have easily just turned around and come back. So he was playing it safe. Now, a lot of people are saying that the only reason his dad swooped in is because Salah's getting married. I will take this one step, not further, but one step back. There's a couple of things. Salah's dad might have swept in the day after because he knew you'd gone and he didn't want to visit while you were there. 2, I don't think Salah got married, but I do think his father and his potential future father-in-law might have started discussions about an arranged marriage. The father is very involved in these things, the negotiations for dowries and what's going to be provided and stuff. I think Salah's dad flew in when he did to start the negotiations for an arranged marriage.
And he's like, don't bring my family into it. They have nothing to do with it. They have no influence.
Salah has made up his mind. As you say in a bit, he's a grown man. He wasn't influenced by his family. He's decided that he'd rather be a successful man in Syria than a downtrodden shadow of a human being with you in Canada.
What about all of that time you spend together with, like, having feelings for each other, having chemistry? And I know
there was no chemistry. There was no chemistry. If you're talking about sexual chemistry, God, your entire relationship was like a limp dick. A limp dick of a relationship. They only spent time with you because you were living under the same fucking roof.
trolls and haters, and they're all like, oh, see, it's never real. Like, it makes me wonder, because, like, honestly, you're so fucking heartless.
You will never acknowledge that this was a romance scam, because you do not have the level of intelligence to understand how deep a romance scam can get. But it was. It always was.
You know, he told me he's going to be single forever. Just yesterday. You think he's talking to someone else? Why didn't he just admit it then? Like, why lie?
Because if he told you the truth, you will go scorched earth with every piece of information you have about him, including the illegal shit he was up to in Kuwait. He's hoping you'll move on eventually, that you'll get the hint and back down gracefully with the minimum amount of damage. That he doesn't know who you are. He legitimately doesn't know how far you'd go to keep him in your life and to what extremes you'd go to punish him should he not cooperate.
Just say it. Just say it and I'll leave you alone.
Absolutely categorically not. She would never leave him alone. Now, if what I suspect is true, and that Salah's father is there to negotiate the marriage, the arranged marriage, with Salah's future father-in-law, I propose that Salah will actually get married within the next 3 months. So we're looking at February here. Ooh, a Valentine wedding. Oh, wouldn't that be the final nail in the coffin? A legitimately romantic expression of commitment. Ooh, I sounded far too exciting then. I'm a bit of a bitch.
Like, why be cruel? And, like, I hate that. Like, why string me along? Just tell me to fuck off. I would rather that than be like vague.
Because he's scared of you, Foodie. Because he's scared of you and you have information on him.
No, I think some of his family probably doesn't want him with me at all. Some of his family's very nice and loving towards me, mostly in Syria, but I don't know how his dad feels. He was really nice, always nice to me, but I don't talk to him much. Like if I was in his dad's shoes, yeah, I'd probably want my son to have children or whatever, or I probably wouldn't even give a fuck, honestly. Live how you want to live. I mean, you have other kids that are having kids. How many kids do you need to have? Like, every single person in your family has to have kids for you to be happy?
Yes. Do you know why? Because Salah is the only son. And in his culture and in his religion, the family name can only continue down the father's side. So whether his sisters have children or not, it doesn't matter in that regard, because his sister's children are continuing the family name of her husband. Only a father having a son can continue the family name. Because at the end of the day, while the daughters also get the family name, her children lose it to her husband's family once she has children. The only way the family name can continue is down the male lineage. And Salah being the only son is the only person who can continue the family name. So it doesn't matter how many children his sisters have. The family name ends if Salah doesn't have kids. It's as simple as that.
He always says it's not the kids, it's not marriage, I want to be single forever, every time I talk to him. I miss that, like, everyday comfort, like cuddling, watching movies, someone to confer over dinner with, just like...
Someone to confer about dinner with. Alright, who do you?
Stupid shit, look what the cat's doing. Something you can do with a hijab or not is love someone.
Salah is strongly implying that the reason he's not doing this is because Foodie's taken the hijab off, and she's been stubborn about it, which is her right, but it's the least traumatic excuse he can give to Foodie without her completely flipping her top. Wouldn't you prefer to be told your cultural differences are the reason why we can't be together, rather than you are obnoxious, gross, you bring shame on my family and I want nothing to do with you, as an excuse? The hijab is the least traumatic of the excuses that Salah can give.
Did I choose this? Yeah, I feel like I did. I don't know if I made a mistake or not. It's too early to tell. But like the way I'm feeling, like just feeling like shit, like pure shitsicle. Why?
Shitsicle. She feels pure shitsicle. Never actually heard anybody say that, let alone an adult, but alright.
You would be with a Western woman, especially Foodie Beauty. Like, you've known, you've seen, he's never, like, complained about that stuff, but, about my past and stuff, but.
Foodie says that Salah knew absolutely everything about her when he went there, to which I can say absolute and utter bullshit. Because if you remember the discussions that transpired about Foodie having contacted 3 STDs from Nada, and when that was mentioned in chat when she was on live in a car with Salah, she made it very obvious for everybody to shut up because she didn't want Salah to know. So no, Salah didn't know everything about you. At the very least, he didn't know you'd contacted 3 STDs from Nada. I suspect there was an awful, awful lot he didn't know about you.
My present wasn't that great either, right? Like, why am I blaming myself for everything? Like, I'm like the only person to make a mistake. Like,
You're absolutely right there, Foodie. It takes two. But the relationship wasn't a relationship. It was a business arrangement. From his side, at least. I don't know if you knew or you were aware but decided to ignore it, or you knew but hoped it had changed because you're so fucking perfect. Of course everybody's going to fall in love with you. But without the ability to get Salah to Canada, which you always knew you couldn't, actually, so you were taking advantage of him too. You were promising him something you knew you couldn't give him. This relationship was doomed. This agreement was doomed to fail.
I feel like all of this problem is because of me. You left him. Yeah, but he's supposed to like fight for me back, though.
No. You wanted him to fight for you back. You wanted the man you claim to love to be devastated and hurt and to feel emotional pain in your absence. You wished that for the person you claim to love. Think about it.
You left him. Yeah, but he's supposed to like fight for me back, though.
Yeah, I put that in twice because, I mean, what the fuck? And look at her face when she says it. She's furious he wasn't devastated. Absolutely furious he wasn't devastated. This is a 12-year-old girl trapped in the body of a 80-year-old woman.
Like, what do you think? What do you expect? He's just like, we'll see you then. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like.
She keeps sticking her finger in her mouth. That time was for lipstick, but the other times it goes very, very much further back and there's no lipstick involved. Now, there's a lot of speculation on Twitter, and I'm just going to say it as it is, as gross as it is. She's trying to poke out tonsil stones. Yeah, tonsil stones.
And it's so shocking because it's like, you were just so lovey-dovey. How do they do that? Like, how?
Self-preservation. As I said before, entirely self-preservation.
1 minute. I love you. 1 minute. I wish you the best. I don't get it. Not like that. God, just move on with your life. I swear, if I hear that, just move on. How about you just eat a pile of crap?
Had it been anybody else, just move on isn't something you say to somebody who is grieving the loss of a relationship, whatever the circumstances are. That's not a very kind thing to say. So I agree with Foodie in that respect. Other than that, there's not much to say about that bit.
How about that? I'll move on, alright? I'll move on and I'll be so successful and happy. I don't know what I expect from Salah. How about acting like we were married for 3 years?
You weren't. It wasn't an actual relationship, Foodie. It wasn't. So he doesn't need to continue the pretense because, well, he's still attempting some damage control because he doesn't know exactly how far you're prepared to go with things. He doesn't need to pretend anymore.
How about some respect and dignity? How about that?
He doesn't respect you. Never respected you.
He doesn't he'll message me a bit, and then it will be several hours, and then he'll message me, but not really answer anything I'm saying. And if you ever love somebody, how do you like to see them like this? yeah, I do feel like I deserve better. Like, I feel like, okay, I've said some pretty hurtful things to him when we fought. He's not an angel. Likewise, you think I just say those things for no reason? Like,
Everything's his fault. Everything she says is in response to somebody else. She's horrible to people because they don't treat her right. She takes no accountability, bless you, Rocky, for anything.
one day I'm gonna have my shit together, and all of the crummy people who I wasn't good enough for when I was at my worst, you can eat crap when I'm at my best. And if that never happens, then you can say, dodged a bullet, but...
It's never going to happen. Never going to happen.
And, like, yeah, I would say a lot of the time women, they do end up getting called nuts, like, oh, she's messaging him. Well, if they weren't such inconsiderate pricks and cared about your feelings, then maybe we wouldn't have to look insane, you know?
So it's his fault she's messaging him continuously because he's not replying. That's very sociopathic, in my opinion.
Like, whatever. I'm not going down that road. But I don't know why I was dumb and thought that all of this could be done without any transition period. I thought I would just be here like, yay, celebrate good times, come on. Because, like, when I was in Syria, yeah, I did feel that way. I did feel kind of like, I can't wait to get out of here. But at the same time, like, it felt homey too, right? But, you know, the more he is like this, the more angry I get. So maybe that's a good thing. Am I going to find better than him? No. I mean, my whole perception that there's a fairy tale romance is dead. Like, romance is dead. There's no such thing. I had some pretty bad meltdowns there. My mental health was bad, but I'm not used to that environment. And even though, because I loved him, I went there. And I don't think too many people can say that they can live there. Even him, sometimes he doesn't know if he can live there.
You didn't live there. You stayed in a house, not interacting with there at all. And you weren't there long enough. In fact, after having been there for a couple of weeks, you fucked off to a hotel in Qatar. You didn't live there. You existed there, at best.
So, I cannot give you an answer right now because I want to see in a few months' time. I hate seeing you high, and, you know, you were almost nude on camera one day. And it's easy for people to say, let him go. I know there's only so much you guys can say or feel not being in that situation. It's like so different when you're in it. He knew what I was like before I went to Kuwait.
He didn't know entirely what you were like, and he didn't actually care what you were like. But it's now a very convenient excuse for him to let you down gently, let's say, because he couldn't get what he wanted, which was immigration, and even if he thought just a little bit that he could get to Canada on you, he doesn't want you anymore. You are not worth the reward, which is Canadian citizenship or immigrating to Canada. Being with you is not worth it. This thing he's been pursuing for years and years and years.
Just hoping I would change, and I feel like I did. If you're telling me that even in Kuwait when I was raging, that is still foodie beauty, calm down. The last 3 years was my life, calm down. Yeah, sitting and crying and thinking about Salah is something I feel like is normal when you divorce, if you were sincere and love the person. If he's not, it's because he's too busy right now. And that's what I mean. His dad was smart. He knew when to swoop in right after I left, because when you're alone and you've just gone through a divorce, you're so vulnerable.
His father didn't take advantage of his vulnerability. His father, at least, swooped in to be with his son, knowing you weren't there, because he didn't want to visit when you were there. And at best, he came in to arrange with Salah's future father-in-law the marriage of Salah, the arranged marriage, which Salah would have known about. They would have had a discussion saying she's leaving on this day. You can come in the next day and start the negotiations. Salah knows and agrees to everything that's going to happen.
And weak. And he probably thought, oh, you know, because he was really sad that night before his dad came. Oh, it's like the house is like there's no light inside of it without you. How do you go from that to what, in 3 days? I am high in that, I know, but like he has bad habits too. I'm not gonna air them, but he has bad things about him.
But she will, when she realizes.
And I would quit. I want to quit, but it's like being here alone. It's so hard that like I just feel like the THC just like helps me. It masks anything, even though I know it's not helping in the long run. I'm mad at how he's handling it now. I'm just in disbelief because you're disillusioned after spending 3 years with someone and you think they're a certain way and they're not, and you have to be pure evil. I don't care what anyone says. To really, really have loved someone apparently for 3 years, to just see them suffering and just like.
No, you do not have to be evil. Just because you're in a relationship with somebody physically, I don't mean in terms of intimacy, I mean in terms of spending time in their presence. It doesn't mean you haven't quit the relationship psychologically and emotionally a long time before. As I said, I no longer loved my husband for many years before I was able to leave. And you don't feel any kind of regret when you have left for the person you've left, because you're not in love with them anymore. You're not emotionally invested in them anymore. I'd go as far to say you feel absolute relief. Absolute relief. And, well, not nearly as severe, this case, foodie. I'm pretty sure that's what Salah's feeling too.
Whatever, my daddy's here. And why wouldn't he truly love me? Because I'm fat?
No, not because you're fat. Because you were a means to an end for him. He never wanted to be with you genuinely. He wanted to use you to get to Canada. It had nothing to do with your size. It was to do with what you could provide for him, and you couldn't do that in the end. And even if you could, the effort's not worth it anymore.
Mess, so what? People can still love each other. So that's it. I'm just so pissed off in a lot of ways. Because like the grief, it turns to anger, right? I don't even think he looks at his channel comments much. I said that, I'm like, you let people just talk shit about me in your comments. Show me one. There's like several. I don't care, I don't even go look. I don't give a shit.
Then how do you know?
You dodged a bullet. That's all what his family's probably saying to him. You dodged a bullet. Who's to guarantee that he marries someone who's not crazier? Could happen. I might have been not very modest for most of my life, but it's hard to find someone crazier than you. I didn't say he was responsible for my happiness, not once. What I said was, it's unbelievable to me that somebody can just be your whole everything. He wants you to fund his. I'm not giving him any money. He's not asking me for a cent, for real. So, it's not gonna happen.
Her body language kind of implies that was not true.
We could have made more money doing couples videos. It wasn't like we weren't rich, but we don't.
Categorically not. Your couples content was not very successful. Yeah, let's go with that.
We kept working at it. It's like it makes more sense to do that than to worry about what you're going to do in Syria. I don't know, like, whatever. And like Salah would get so mad when I would compliment Beats about anything friendship-wise. It's like, well, who's here for me now? Not you. You're not here for me.
Neither is Pete's currently.
You're literally not even fucking thinking about me right now. Like, I mean, he's saying that the reason we've grown apart is our fighting was really bad lately. But it seems like an excuse. I don't know. It makes me feel like yes, like he was. It's like with the divorce papers behind my back. I feel like this is all intricately detailed and talked about with his family, and it's like, no, dude. I don't know how the women do that, man. With all the family, every single family member up their ass and around the corner. Like, what the fuck? I would go nuts, man. NUTS. It's like I had to tell them about it because they have to be witnesses.
Yeah, he needed witnesses. He needed 2 male witnesses or 4 female witnesses, and they all had to be Muslim. Not that that matters, see previously. But he needed you to sign the paperwork, and he couldn't have done that with you in Canada. So when was he going to present you with the divorce papers? He wasn't going to do it a few days before because he'd still have to deal with you being there. Of course, he's going to present them to you in the very last minute.
Well, do you guys think that's suspicious? Like, I think that's weird. His father flying in right away.
Negotiations for an arranged marriage, which will happen within the next 3 months.
A few days before I was to travel. So I was like, I'm going to go in the Madafa. I'm going to talk to my father on video. And she did sometimes. Came back. Well, my father's thinking of coming to Syria at some point. I thought this would be like in the future. No. As they say in Arabic, ala tul, right away. As soon as I'm out of there. So either I'm like, are you getting remarried? But like, what?
You can also say alatul when given directions for straight ahead. I just thought I'd add that.
Didn't he just tell me that? Like, why hide that from me? If I'm not giving him anything, like, what's the purpose? Why wouldn't he?
You not going nuclear online and telling everybody all the things you hate about him, he did to you, and portraying him in a really, really bad light, and possibly revealing illegal activities in Kuwait. I'd say that's a good reason.
Tell me that. What does it matter? Like, just tell me you're getting married. You don't want to. Why? He doesn't care about my feelings. If he cared about my feelings, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing. Poop on beds and vomit. Okay, I didn't purposely poop on the bed. So you're telling me that Arab Muslims don't get sick?
Why add the Muslim to the Arab Muslim? And why even say Arab Muslims? Say, you don't tell me other people don't get sick, and, yeah, other people do. Very few of them go online and tell everybody about it, though.
Like, I caught a flu from the food poisoning from there. It's not my fault. I was laying in bed one day and thought, oh, I'd like to shit the bed today. If not getting married, maybe his father's trying to get him back to Kuwait and let the family live in the Syria. Oh, get him back to Kuwait. He's changed since Syria. I'm sorry, but like, you moved there and then one day we're like, oh, I like my traditional values. Okay, good for you. What about me? Like, I'm just shit now? Yeah.
You ruined his life in Kuwait and you made it impossible for him to continue his lifestyle. He got a second chance when he moved to Syria. He got a home, he got money, he got land. He has a certain level of status now, and he's chosen to embrace it over being with you and possibly getting to Canada. And in order to embrace this second chance he's gotten, he has to adapt to the environment he's in, and you are no part of it. He kept you around when you forced yourself into Syria against his wishes long enough to pay for things to get fixed. And he was just waiting for you to throw a hissy fit, say, I can't live like this, and to go. He was just biding his time.
Families that are super supportive, maybe a little too much, where places where it could do more harm than good. A man at 30 starting their life, a woman at 40 kind of coming towards the end, at least like fertility and family making and all that shit. Very big difference.
I'm 52. I'm about to be 53 very soon. And I distinctly remember when I was 45 deciding that while the 45 years I had existed on this earth were a bit shit, it doesn't mean my remaining time on Earth, which technically could have been, or could be, another 45 years, had to be shit too. It's not the end. Getting older is not the end. It's how you decide to embrace the getting older. And while physically I can't do much at all, intellectually, cognitively, I am a significantly better person than I was. Emotionally, I'm a better person than I was. In terms of empathy, I'm a better person than I was. And I'm leaning into this, I'm embracing it, I'm celebrating it. Getting older is not the end. It can be a beginning. But you don't need to worry about that, foodie, because you don't actually have that long, and you're definitely not going to make it to my age.
And no, it's not a problem. Yeah, you're fucking right. I didn't mind the whole patriarchy thing for a while because I felt like I was taken care of. Like I said, in Kuwait, you go into an elevator. Some buildings, most government buildings, they have their own separate elevators for women.
You liked it when it suited you. You liked the illusion of chivalry. You said once Salah was a perfect man because he opened doors for you, and then it literally turned out he opened the doors, the car door, to let you in. You liked the bits that suited you. You liked the princess treatment, let's say. You either accept it all or accept nothing. You don't, cherry pick which bits you like.
I always felt protected in a lot of ways from Salah. So that's like he always seemed very caring. And like maybe someone said maybe he does care. But just doesn't want to be in it anymore. Which is fine. I wish he would just come out and say that. All cheating stuff, we got all past all that crap. And I decided to stay and move on, and I would bring it up all the time. And he was so fed up with it.
Which means you hadn't gotten over it. When you get over something, you don't talk about it. You don't focus on it. It's not a topic of conversation.
That's another major thing he didn't like. Drove him nuts. You never got over it if you kept bringing it up. Yeah. Okay, Cowpat. And instead of understanding that and being sensitive to those feelings, no, I don't think I'll ever wear red dresses and show my boobs. And there's definitely a part of me that's changed since the past 3 years, and that's why it's harder also. If I was just gone for 3 weeks and I came right back to the villa, I'd probably still have the same mindset. But you don't experience 3 lives of a different culture, 3 years of a different culture, different way of life, to just forget everything. And just be like, hey, there we go, I'm back.
But you tried. You came back and you went back to your default setting immediately. The reason you're not embracing it anymore is because you see it as the only reason you've lost Salah, which I've explained is not the case.
What I thought would happen. No, he never, he didn't, have sex with anybody, but I think there's different forms of cheating. We didn't know anything about each other when we got married. He went to lunch, but, the amount of time he was gone and the amount of time he drove, I calculated it. I don't think there would have been time for any peen connection.
Yeah, but just because there's a picture of them meeting up doesn't mean it was the only time they met up. And look at you looking smug. I doubt it was the only time he met up with her.
I wasn't I know what time I dozed off and woke up. It wasn't a big sleep. And it looked more like a friendly distance kind of hug, not like a loving. It looked friendshipy, but...
In a country where PDA is frowned upon, the fact he was actually hugging her indicates quite a strong physical connection. That was a display of affection in a country where it's frowned upon, and the mere fact he had his arm around her indicates that they were very close indeed.
Maybe not. Yeah, that really pissed me off. But we got over that. It's like, whatever, I believe you. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, boys. I'll see you guys in a bit, okay? Bye.